Can't hear me at all. No. Okay, better? Yeah, all right. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Jason Robb from the Southeast Kansas Library System in Iowa, Kansas. And my official title is Seek and Find Coordinator. And I always make this joke, so you've probably all heard it before, but I do not coordinate hide and seek games. Our consortium is called Seek and Find because we're in Southeast Kansas, and we like to help people find things. So my presentation today is on using arrays when you're doing JavaScript customization. Um, I just find it a useful tool, and it's something that I just stumbled upon when I was tinkering around, and I thought it might be helpful for other people to know, hey, that's available. It does stem a lot from being in a consortium, but there are non-consortium uses as well. So we'll just go through some of that kind of stuff. And I was letting them bleed over on the last thing because I kind of planned this as sort of amorphous. So we may have a lot of time at the end. We'll see. Okay, so just a little more background on our consortium. We have 47 libraries. We went live on Koha in 2008, so we celebrated our 10-year anniversary last year. We went over to Bywater in 2013, so we've been a Bywater partner for several years now. The whole point of our consortium is sharing. It's to get books from one side of our area to the other. It's a 15-county area in Southeast Kansas. And we do our consortium a little bit different than other consortiums because we offer it as a service rather than like a collaborative project. So if I want to make a change, I can make a change. Sometimes I call that the Jason Catership, but that doesn't go over well. So, but we do gather input from our members. We have a policy committee, but if there are things that need to happen, we have the authority because we're the ones providing the service. So that's nice. It gives me a little flexibility. Okay, DIY customize. So there's a lot of talk here at the conference about you should submit your ideas to the community, let it go through the workflow and that kind of thing. I'm an entitled millennial, so I like to have things fast. I like when things don't work for me, I want it to work the next day. And I haven't met Great Aunt Pearl yet, but JavaScript and I are best friends. So I can make changes in JavaScript easy, but Perl, way over my head. So that's why I do JavaScript customization on our site. And I try to share things as if I think they're shareable. I have a lot of weird things, quirks that I do with the consistent. So instant gratification, of course, I can put or break something and I get a phone call. Broken workflows. So we talked about, Nick and Andrew talked about the modal yesterday that popped up that Christopher made, which is excellent, but it totally killed our workflow. So JavaScript has enabled me to just break what Christopher did so that we can go back to the way we lived before. And I know there's a bug in the community already working on turning that into a system preference, so that's good. And the last step here is I'm an enabler. I want to keep everybody happy, 47 libraries happy all at once. And this helps me be an enabler. So if you want to be an enabler, be like me. Okay, so why should you use arrays? The first reason is scalability. So instead of, a lot of my old jQuery is like, if this or this or this or this or this is met, then do this and this. Now it's just, if somebody's in this array, do this. So it's easier, the code is cleaner, it's more convenient for me to add in new parts. And this probably isn't making sense, but hopefully my examples will illustrate a little better. And you deserve it. You deserve a raise. Okay, so what are JavaScript arrays? So they're basically a way to store a bunch of different values in a single variable. So some examples of ways I've used arrays, I have arrays with just users. So I can filter customization by user. I can do it by library using the logged in branch. And I also have one that uses shelf locations and collection codes where they interact with each other. So a little bit. So this is the basic structure of an array. So you're declaring your array in the variable. So variable array name, and then your different values. So for me, it's like the username or the library code in the value spot. And then when you want to call it, you just use some jQuery check if it's an array. So you put the value to check in the first spot, and then the array name that you declared in the second spot. That does not equal -1 is what I found on Stack Exchange or whatever, and it said that works, and when I tried it, it worked. So that's how I function, fumbling through things because they work. Oh, side note, do this on a test server. Don't do this on your live server. You will break things. And then you put your other JavaScript snippets in the do something area to get it rolling. So a few different uses. I've done something I'm calling pseudo permissions. So basically limiting certain things to specific users. One of the use cases I have in here that I can't really show up is batch modification. I have some librarians that need full access to batch modification, but I don't want most of them to touch it. But I do want them to be able to mark them as lost. So I've blocked out everything but the lost field. And then for the people in the array, they can use the whole thing. So it's kind of like a fake batch modification permission. And back to the laziness, there's a system preference that can let you do that already. It's like got a really long name about batch modification permissions. But and I'm going to continue the illusion that that didn't exist when I wrote the code, and I never recognized it when it came in. But my way is a little easier because you can just pop the usernames in the array, and it's done instead of going to each individual account and editing the permissions. That's one thing. Library-specific system preference toggles. So the example I have in here that I'll show you is the patron search autocomplete. So you can turn on a system preference that lets Koha try and guess what patron you're looking for when you start typing. I had a handful of libraries that really hated that because they have like 90 people in their town and 10 people use the library, and they just want the Firefox autocomplete to show them what they've typed in the past. And as an enabler, I was like, sure, we can bring that back for you and you alone. So we did that. Library-specific customizations, again, limiting by what branch you're logged in at, and I can grab an example of that. And then streamlining data entry, that's the one that's used off-road. So we'll take a look here. Okay, so this is the one I was talking about, patron autocomplete. So you can see that there's a system preference search autocomplete. Good one. That lets you turn this on and off, and I've got a little GIF here showing the difference. Right now it's showing the Firefox way, and then now it's showing the Koha way of auto. And I will say I have all of this code up on my training website, which I have linked to multiple places in my presentation. So you can see what the code looks like here. So you can see that I've declared a variable with the library code, and I'm extracting that from the page. So the person's logged in, it's up in the top right, what library they're logged in as. And the actual code for the library is hidden in the background, but you can grab that. And then I declared a variable of all the libraries that want it broken, basically, so disabled. And I listed all of those in there. So if you're going out and using my code, of course, you're going to have to go out and switch out the values and stuff in pretty much everything. But then after I've declared those two variables, then I can check and see if the lib code that I extracted is in the array that I built. Then I'm going in, I'm destroying something, as breaking things, and then I'm destroying something else. So basically that I had to, again, I stumble, I look at Stack Exchange, I inspect things until I figure out what might work, and that's just when it is. So to do a lot of time. So I was going to do some wowing of people. So I do have a test server set up here, and I have lost my taskbar, so this isn't the screen mode. Yep. So I can show you what it looks like. If I insert it. Oh no. Let's do that on the next one, because this is about. So the next one I have an example of is branch-specific search warning. So yesterday, there was a little bit of jQuery shared. I got plenty of sleep last night, really. Okay, there was a little bit of jQuery shared that would expand this checkout summary by default. I wanted to go a little further with it, so I broke it out into a box up here. But we have kind of a odd situation with our item types. A lot of libraries want to put a limit on how many total visual media a person can check out, rather than new visual media versus not new visual media. So the search rules don't really support that right now. But what I could do is put up a warning when things got to that limit. So basically, it's just adding up what's here to what's here, and then if it exceeds a value, it puts up a notice there. And we can look at the code on that. There's a lot more. It's a little more involved because I've added styles and stuff. This is the array that's declared. So I've declared multiple arrays for the different libraries who wanted different links. So these libraries only let patients check out 2 visual media at a time, on down to 30, which I don't think people ever hit that one. And then if a library in my consortium is not in the array, then the notice doesn't pop up. So I have a sample page in here. The pineapples, by the way, if you saw them, are my pineapple protocol. Whenever I break something, you use pineapples. Very handy. So without the code, you can see that the checkout summary is here, unexpanded, and there. So now if I go grab the code and put it in my JavaScript stinger, I'm so out of time. I lied about that. Okay, maybe I didn't get that. So on this one, you can see that instead of a document ready, I have a document 1 AJAX stop. That's because if you don't only let it run once, then it starts repeating when the page refreshes or something. There was something wonky with it. And you have to wait till the AJAX stops, which is what loads the table, so that every time another item gets checked out, it gets added to the count. So let's take this over. So there you can see my the only code I have running so far. So add that in here. special pages should be. So now you can see that the thing popped up. It's not here anymore, it's up here. And since I'm logged in as Iola Public Library, they're in the visual media 10 limit array, so this notice pops up. Now, the notice doesn't do anything but alert staff, but that's all they really wanted. So that is one example page. There's also, did that one. I've got streamlining data entry. So on this one, what we wanted to do was make adding items a little easier, a little more streamlined. There's a lot of just rearranging of things. So you can see in the screenshot here, we did some headings where we grouped different things together. And then, so it makes more logical sense for our catalogers. They can just do things in order. They're not putting a price here and then going down here and putting the price again. And then the magic, I guess, is whenever you pick a shelving location, it'll automatically fill in the collection code based on an array. And then there's a little bit extra that'll hide and show the serial enumeration field if it's a magazine shelf location. So let me set that one up so I can show it off a little bit. Like I said, there's a lot. I added a bunch of classes so it was easier to move things around. And then I hid a bunch of stuff I didn't want to see. Move around. And then you can see the variables are declared here. These are our awesomely wonderful shelf location codes that I made when I first started, and I love a lot. And then there's a section for each collection code. So it's asking, is the value in the adult book array? If so, we're changing it to adult book and hiding the serial enumeration. Is it an audiobook? Then more of the same. And these codes down here in parentheses are my collection codes. So like AB, ABC, those are a little more logical than my shelf locations. Okay. I just the end of this Zoom thing. Oh, come on. Okay. I guess I need to go to sample residency. That one's not working. Yeah, okay. So if I want to add an item, you can see that all the headings have been rearranged. The red stuff, I didn't put in the CSS. The other two changes I've made are right aligning these labels with CSS so that it's closer to the field so people can figure out easier what they're looking at. And then I added little stars to the red fields even though they're not actually mandatory. I like to trick people into thinking certain things are mandatory because I want them in the record even though I don't really need them in the record. So I've done that in several cases. So as far as the array magic here, if we pick something, it's going to fill in the collection code automatically. This is, I don't remember when I added this in early this year. It's done leaps and bounds for our data entry accuracy. People are terrible about picking things out of Dropboxes. They'll hit the thing above it or below it. So you'll get DVDs in the device with collection code and stuff. So if they don't have to do anything, that's bad news. If they don't have to fill something in, then it's all the better for our data entry. So if I switch it, that changes to Blu-rays, DVDs. So all of these shelf locations are being compared to the array, or the collection codes are being compared to the arrays. So, and then if I do magazine, there's an extra bit of code that brings in the serial information right under there. So they know they need to fill it in. We also have a lot of non-serial data in that field. So I wanted to make it hard to accidentally put data in there. So yeah, I didn't do anything with the item type because that builds in from the record, and I'm expecting that to be accurate, or not as it always. But some people use different item types for it. It doesn't work as well for us to link those things up. Okay, so that's the presentation. And I'm gonna stick around here again. So the autocomplete is self-explanatory. We went through those two. And this is the one I was talking about, limiting batch modification by user. So this is what everybody sees when they get to the batch modification tool. I wanted it to be so they could take a look. We don't automatically charge lost item prices for long overdue items when they roll into long overdue, mainly because we don't want things slipping through the cracks when a library borrows from another library. So I did want a way where they could go in, take a list of long overdues that are their items at their library, and mark them all off at once, so the charge process can happen in a batch instead of doing that one by one. So I wanted everybody to have access to that one ability, but I have other libraries that do use it in shelf locations, so the trusted libraries, I guess. So I've used an array to, and then of course our in-house librarians should be able to do that too. So I've used an array to declare the users, and it's just based on their logged in username. So Tim, Melissa, and Jason are in-house people, and they have full access to the form because they're in the array. And basically all the code does is say, if they're in the array, don't hide it. That's the basic deal there. And then there's a bunch of, again, I'm really inconsistent. Sometimes I put my CSS in the CSS descript. Sometimes I put it in the jQuery. So this one's got a bunch of like things to color things like gray and disable the form fields and stuff like that. And it's really long. But yeah, so that's another way you can use arrays. And one thing I really like about doing it this way is if I get in a library that calls me and says, hey, I need to put a bunch of stuff in damage, I can add their username to the array, let them do it, and then pick it back up. So it's kind of like a permission that I can turn off and on without having to develop a permission for that one specific. But again, disclaimer, you can do this with Discuss, so don't copy this one. Do the work. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. Everything I had to show off. Like I said, you guys should on into Elasticsearch. My next slide is a surprise. It's been spoiled. Fred and I like the term harvest to steal ideas from other people. So I would like to steal ideas from you. Now that you've learned about arrays, what do you guys have things you see this being used for that I can take back home and use? Yes. Mm-hmm. I like that one. Okay. So hide the library changer except for certain people. Anybody else? Yeah. I don't know what that is. Mm, okay. Yeah. Should do some more research on that. Hashes. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I did want to share. You're all welcome to steal the code, do whatever. I've been working on getting all my um, staff-related stuff on a website. It's at training.deconfine.org, and all the customization stuff is under the customization tab. There are other projects in here that don't use arrays, but I wanted to like document things. This one actually does use an array. It's to control which item type is used for our temporary ILL records. So we have some libraries that want DVDs to go into the shorter item type, and this automatically finds that for you. Um, yes, so there is a link to this page on the reports page because I had it broken and George told me it broke, so I changed that out, which links to my SQL tips here. But I can put the top level page on the website. Um, and just, oh, I didn't mention, I'm koha-US secretary, so I'm gonna plug them for a minute. If you guys haven't seen our website, the education committee has been doing a lot of work on the learn page. So like a lot of the resources that we're really gathering resources into one place from all over from the community, just to make it easy to navigate. So things that we've shared, such as this, I would put it on this page. Um, some of the stuff I've made submit to the jQuery library, I'm really bad about that. I'm really bad about sharing my reports. Usually I like look at it and I'm like, I don't think you really need this. So which I know is not true. Why would I be here sharing things if it wasn't true, right? Um, so yeah. So those resources are here. I'll get my website added there. And like I said, it's under the reports. If you just can't wait and you like want to open it right now, I know you're all chomping at the bit. It's on here somewhere. That's acquisitions. That's why it's not showing up. Also, another plug, since you guys aren't in the education committee thing next door, if you have things to share and you want us to post it on the website, we'll take it. You can email education@koha-US.org. And we would love to have any and everything. So yeah, that circle this back. Some of my presentations for last year on here as well. The elusive nacho item modal is here. So just different projects. And I presented on this one here too. So feel free to take a look, steal what you want. I mean, harvest what you want. It's there for everybody's use. And you can also steal my documentation. This is all in Markdown, so if you want to steal something, it's on GitHub, so you can copy it. Did I cover all my bases? Maybe, probably not. Why is the meme? I don't know. Any questions? I think we're at the end. If you want to talk about this kind of stuff and bumble through projects with me during the workshop days, I'm here those days. So happy to try and figure stuff out with you. So we're done a lot earlier than I'm supposed to because that's my signature for presenting at Koha conferences. So I would love for you guys to go over the committee thing if you feel so inclined. We can always use more people on a committee from koha-US. and it's not a lot of work. It's however much work you want to put into it is how much it's going to be. So, thanks. Yeah, I had to have the shark. I'm also wearing the shark socks.